Hello everyone and welcome to some MiSTer FPGA news. This week we will be talking about the Nintendo 64 core, using RFID tags to automatically load games, a possible Super Offroad arcade core coming in the future, and more. So let's get to it. Core developer Raki has fully extracted schematics for the Konami SCC chip. This chip was used in the MSX, but Raki also mentioned that this could be used for a City Bomber or Haunted Castle core. Work like this is so important to preserving hardware and games to make sure we can get the most accurate experiences possible. There is a project by Side 2002 on GitHub that is working on porting MiSTer cores to the Mega 65. The Mega 65 is a complete 8-bit computer running around 40 times faster than a Commodore 64, while also still remaining highly compatible with it. It runs on the Xilinx RTX 100T FPGA. Hans Bayer, who's working on the MiSTex project, says that this work will be very useful for MiSTex, which is also doing a lot of work to port cores to Xilinx. If you are unfamiliar with MiSTex, it's a fork of MiSTer with the goal of being able to use whatever FPGA chip you want. Ultimate MiSTer is now selling the Gamerpro Advanced adapter. This is a USB device that has the ability of being able to plug in original console controllers via an HDMI port on the adapter itself. You can get HDMI adapters for the Neo Geo, TurboGrafx and PC Engine, Dreamcast, Saturn, consoles that use DB9 connectors like the Master System, Genesis, Atari VCS, Commodore 64. There's also adapters for the Sony PlayStation, GameCube, Nintendo NES, Super NES, N64, the Atari Jaguar. There's a Vectrex cable. And surprisingly, there's an adapter for the Bandai Atmark Pippin, a failed console by Apple. The main adapter features upgradable firmware, X input and HID support, a fixed USB 1 millisecond poll rate, it's force feedback ready, and there's no rumble fix needed. A while back, I spoke about the YouTube channel RMC The Cave adding the ability to use barcodes to automatically launch games on your MiSTer. It was demonstrated by taking a barcode reader and scanning the original barcodes, which would then execute the appropriate game on your MiSTer FPGA. More people have been working on similar developments, but with using RFID tags. User JaviWeb on GitHub has a project that lets you do just that, and even demonstrates some RFID cards that they've printed game logos on. The cards are then tapped on an arcade cabinet and you see the game run. Then user Connor on Twitter made a few tweaks to JaviWeb's project and also added the ability to interact with Home Assistant, which is an open source do-it-yourself way to control your home. I personally find this really cool. You can print a set of cards or even boxes of your most played games and be able to quickly start playing them, or giving friends and family a more user-friendly way of running games. Wizzo updated the remote script to fix an issue where the uboot.txt file would break when you set a MAC address and enable fast USB polling. Another issue where keys weren't working was also fixed. Just run the update all script with MiSTer extensions enabled to get the latest version. Wizzo has made his experimental UI for MiSTer public, so if you want to check it out, you can head over to GitHub and download it. It's currently very bare bones and the direction it's going to take is still unknown. But right now you can run it and browse the screenshots you've taken for each core, so don't expect to be able to run games yet. A while back, I spoke about some custom boot ROMs for cores that will add a little extra flair when loading a console core. These were developed by UberYoji on GitHub. Anyway, these boot ROMs are real ROMs that can actually run on original consoles, but since MiSTer gives us the ability to set a specific ROM to automatically run when loading a core, you can use these custom boot ROMs as some sort of splash screen for your console cores. All you have to do is make sure they're named either boot.rom or boot2.rom if a BIOS is already being used for boot.rom. Several console cores are supported. There's boot ROMs for the NES core, the Super NES core, the Game Boy core, TurboGrafx 16/PC Engine, Master System, Genesis/Mega Drive, and the 32X. There is also a Game Boy Advance boot ROM that is currently under development. Robert, the developer of the Nintendo 64 core, keeps increasing the accuracy of the core week by week. There's nothing fancy to show yet, but we are told that the RSP in the core fulfills 64% of the tests. The RSP was only started 10 days ago, and now more than half the tests are passing. This is some really amazing work. This testing is done using a suite of tools created by software emulator developers to help them compare their emulators with real hardware. Looks like Pierko is taking on a Super Offroad arcade core, one of his favorite games. Right now he's working off schematics but needs some missing PAL dumps. If you can help Pierko obtain a PCB, please contact him on Twitter. The info will be in the description. Otego teased us that the next upcoming core coming from his team will be the Simpsons arcade game. On Twitter, he posted a video where you can hear the insert coin sounds that would have each Simpsons family member say their name. The Simpsons is one of the cores I'm really looking forward to coming to MiSTer. It's one of my favorite arcade games of all time, and it's a must-play game to play with friends together. So that's it for this episode. I provided links to all my sources in the description. Make sure you also check out retrorgb.com to see my MiSTer news videos in blog form and to get more retro-related content. And if possible, support them on Patreon too. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like. And if you want to see more content like this, hit the subscribe button and its bell icon so you can get notified of future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you next time.